tens of thousands of opposition demonstrators march in Tehran. It's the Quds Day rally for Palestinian solidarity, but people angry over the June 12th presidential election are using it to voice their protest.
They're remaining extremely defiant. We saw today with a huge turnout that the opposition movement, despite a concerted effort by the leadership to sideline them, to marginalize them, to intimidate them, they haven't gone away. At the same time, you see Iran's leadership continuing their defiance. Keep in mind, the opposition leaders have been intimidated. The hardline leaders have, in recent weeks, called for their arrest. So these are two sides that remain defiant. We saw that again today on Quds Day, a day that's designed to show solidarity with the Palestinian people. But as they've done over the summer after the elections on June 12th, the opposition movement taking advantage of a government-approved event to show support for Amir Hossein Mousavi, Mehdi Karoubi, and other opposition leaders. Jim?
You know, as we look at it, though, the fundamental question has to be, how much is the government listening? Clearly, Mr. Ahmadinejad today simply trying to change the subject. Is it working?
Well, President Ahmadinejad and the international scene clearly wants to shift the focus from Iran's domestic issues, namely the disputed elections on June 12th, to more global issues, pushing ahead Iran's nuclear issue, human rights issues. But again, you see the international community and the opposition supporters focusing on the fierce crackdown that followed the elections. Keep in mind, there's more than 100 opposition supporters, journalists, and activists still in prison. The charges are not clear. It's unclear what's going to happen to them. There's allegations of rape and abuse in prison that have yet to be addressed. One of the opposition figures, perhaps the most vociferous and loudest opposition figures, Mehdi Karoubi, is making an effort to force the judiciary to answer these issues, but they shut down his office a couple of weeks ago, and they dismissed those concerned about those allegations. So again, you see two sides that remain entrenched. President Ahmadinejad is doing his best to put those elections behind him, but this was an indication today that the opposition movement will continue to be here throughout a second term and continue to apply pressure.
Reza Sayed, always appreciate your insight on this story in particular. Thanks so much for being with us there from Islamabad.